I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would encourage the Packers to go out and find some receivers. Last week it was Davante Adams. Now it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. My biggest critique at the Packers management, based on what happened last week, is how do you not get Valdes-Scantling re-signed before you trade Davante Adams, right? Keep one of these guys around. Right now your top receiver is Randall Cobb. More than a decade after he entered the NFL, the guy that you didn't even have around, you just went back and got him because Rodgers wanted him. How do they fill this void, Peter? And a point that Sims and I agree on. I'd be curious about your thoughts on this. Even though Tyreek Hill is better than Davante Adams, Sims and I agree on that, and you may disagree. But we look at it this way. Hill's better than Adams, but we feel better about the Chiefs without Hill than we feel about the Packers without Adams, because we got more faith in the Chiefs to reload than we have in the Packers to reload, if that makes any sense.
Well, I think you also have more faith in Kansas City right now with a tight end like Kelsey, with a wide receiver like Smith-Schuster, and now with Valdes-Scantling. You feel a little bit better, and McCole Hardman, than you do where the Green Bay Packers are. But, Mike, I would just say this. The Green Bay Packers now have 4 picks in the top 60. And I think they're going to do one of 2 things. First of all, make a list right now of all of the veteran receivers who are maybe a year or so away from either demanding a new contract or their agents are making noise about getting some sort of new contract, redoing the deal, whatever. Make a list of all those guys. And in my opinion, I bet Brian Gutekunst right now has a list. There's maybe 20 players on that list. And I would just bet right now, and I'm going to use one as an example, okay? Let's just say that DK Metcalf you might be able to pry him away from Seattle, okay? I would bet right now that the Green Bay Packers have a list of 20 receivers right now. And they might, one of them might be like Jarvis Landry, who is available. But all these other guys, veteran receivers who are really good, who you might be able to trade for and do a significantly lesser deal than you would have had to do with Davante Adams. Now, look, the receiver market is out of control now. When Christian Kirk is getting 17, you're not getting DK Metcalf for less than 20. Do you value him as a $20 million receiver? And my feeling is right now, look at the veteran receivers in the league, and I would bet that Gutekunst, before the draft, is going to try to acquire one of those. That's one. He's going to do one of 2 things. The second thing he's going to do, in my opinion, is draft 2 receivers. And my feeling is right now, and especially I said earlier in the show, Davante Adams was the 53rd pick in the draft. You can look at the landscape in the NFL and see guys like Davante Adams and Terry McLaurin and Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel, who've all been picked beyond the first round, A.J. Brown. And my only point on this is, if they have to take 2 receivers in the first 60, let's just say, then I think they'll do it. Because my feeling is, and it's been this way all along, that Brian Gutekunst is not afraid. He's not afraid of doing whatever it takes. And I do think that he's been in communication with Aaron Rodgers. He knows now that in order to keep Aaron Rodgers happy, you've got to keep an open line of communication. So I feel pretty confident that Rodgers knew exactly what was going on. That plus the fact that he's tight with Davante Adams.
The tension, I think, comes from understanding that if you get a DK Metcalf, he's going to want a deal like Davante Adams or Tyreek Hill. He's going to want that. So do you invest your picks and pay DK Metcalf when you know Aaron Rodgers has 2 years left, 3 at the absolute most? Is it worth the investment? They kind of went through that with Davante Adams. Another guy that I'd keep an eye on is Chase Claypool. He's got to be miffed at the idea that Mitchell Trubisky is going to be his quarterback as he enters a critical third year of his career in Pittsburgh, and you'd at least have him for 2 years before you get into the franchise tag dance, and he could be a dangerous weapon in the Green Bay offense. I think Gutekunst is more inclined to draft somebody, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to try to break in a rookie because there's no guarantee. Even though we've seen a lot of great young receivers, there are still some guys who aren't working out. And there's a chance that that guy who steps out onto the practice field to work out with Aaron Rodgers for the first time, Rodgers doesn't like him. And what kind of voice does he even have in the scouting process? And I wonder, Peter, and we'll never get a straight answer to this, the Packers were never involved in Tyreek Hill. There were 12 teams that ultimately engaged Drew Rosenhaus, roughly 12, in negotiations, and the Packers were never one of them. How do you not at least explore it? If you've got Aaron Rodgers, who's decided to come back, and you've just lost his best weapon, you have another player out there, one of the few players in the NFL who actually you could say is better than Davante Adams, how do you not at least kick tires on that? See, this fundamental philosophical difference between Rodgers and the team still lingers. Even though they found a way to hold it together, he said himself he doesn't want to be part of a rebuilding effort, and their receiving core is now in shambles. It's Randall Cobb, it's Alan Lazard, it's Amari Rodgers, and who else? Whoever else they happen to find in the draft, unless they do pull off a trade. I kind of like this Claypool idea that just kind of popped into my head, which means it'll never happen. But that's kind of a middle ground where you have a guy who has shown he can get it done, but he's still young.
They almost need to do the sub DK Metcalf, to do below that. Because, look, I was told the one thing about the Packers, and this is the interesting thing, is I just don't think they want to have a receiver on this team that paired with Aaron Rodgers is going to be $80 million on the cap in 2023, whatever the ridiculous number is. That they understand they have to have one ridiculous number, but they don't want to have two. Claypool is a much better idea because if you trade for Claypool, even though I think Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin would be loath to do that after losing Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington is now in Dallas. Who are they going to put out there? But the point I would make is get a guy who knows that he can't make big money, let's say, for another 2 years, and sign him to 4 years, 60 with pick a number with $48 million guaranteed or some such thing. But that's probably a more logical thing to do, to trade for a guy after his second year instead of trading for a guy who is going to want a new deal today, and he's going to be up in that stratosphere.
And here's the other reason to go for Claypool. You can't even give him a contract until after the regular season ends in 2022 because he doesn't have 3 years left. So you get him, you've got him on a cheap salary, and then you can pay him next year, or you keep him through the end of his rookie deal, franchise tag him, and trade him then when Aaron Rodgers has moved on.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.